I went to school at Bucknell, which is not too far from here, and I studied in the School of Management there. And I just think this is a really great challenge. I never came across anything like this in my 4 years there. I definitely would have hopped on the opportunity. And so I just think it's a really great idea to leverage the skills that we have here as well as corporations like IBM. So what I'd really like to do today is focus on our Bluemix platform. I don't have a technical background. As I said, I studied management at Bucknell, but I think that I can help kind of paint that picture of what the art of the possible is and what some other universities have leveraged cognitive technology for to kind of fuel these ideas. But just to start with Bluemix, so really what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get to the enable innovation, and that really comes from a resource perspective, having access to cloud technologies and computing power that really you had to purchase massive servers and data centers before. But now you can leverage it all through IBM. And so really it optimizes agility from the development side as well as innovation. So moving on, Bluemix is essentially just a platform for building, running, and managing applications. So the way I like to think about it is that you can actually build mobile or web applications via Bluemix, or you can tap into a number of services to pull into an existing or application that you're developing elsewhere. So really IBM we're baking all of our capabilities into this one platform where we see as the best way to provide access to folks such as yourself and enterprises as well. So essentially, what I just went over is that this is our platform. What we're going to do is you can get a free trial of Bluemix just by simply going to bluemix.net and inputting your information. So it's really great from that perspective of accessing it. And really, it's the one thing I wanted to say as well is that we really see it as an innovation platform where it provides your technology resources like your middleware and your operating system and your back-end compute power, but now you're able to access application services and innovative services that really unlock new innovation through delivering applications. So, and I think Mike in the last presentation kind of touched on this. There are different deployment models. We have different cloud data centers all across the world. But mostly what we'll utilize is the Bluemix Public, which are data centers that reside in Texas and the UK and Sydney. So definitely spread out, but it really ensures that you get the computing resources that you need. And the dedicated and local are more for security purposes. I think we kind of showed that there's not too many security issues because we'll use desensitized data, but if any case your idea approaches some secure data, we can look to utilize some of these other dedicated data centers that we have. So this is a snapshot of all the services that are available on Bluemix. And as you can see, you have everything on your left side from your compute power and your networking and kind of the basic bare bones of an application. But as you move further right to the Watson and IoT, data analytics services, and overall there's development, what we call DevOps resources to help you be more agile with your development. So what I thought would be the best way to do this is actually show you the interface. So as you can see, you access it just through a URL, bluemix.net. Give it a second here. So this is the dashboard here. I'm not going to migrate now. But essentially, as you can see, I have one of my applications that I've started to look at. It's actually just kind of an enhanced to-do list that helps me stay on top of my things, my to-dos. But really what I wanted to show is I wanted to express the catalog that's available. And this is still what the snapshot was that I showed you earlier. But essentially, you have your infrastructure that you can tap into, whether you need bare metal servers or virtual servers, things of that nature, and everything from your storage and networking. But really what's more important is when you come down to the service catalog that's down here. And so what I wanted to highlight was these different groups here. When you look at the data and analytics, I think really the key ones, you have access to different databases and compose databases, but really if you want to do anything around geospatial, we have analytics that come into that, as well as anything you'd like to do with social data. We have an agreement with Twitter to gain access into different groups of data that are happening in the social realm. And then, as we've alluded to a couple of times already, we purchased the weather company and all of its data, so that's at your fingertips as well through the data and analytics. And just kind of I'm going through these pretty quickly. I'll come back to the Watson at the end. But Internet of Things, if you're looking to leverage anything that brings in other devices or sensors, we do have a platform that can hook those into an application to bring in data to run analytics on, or what you'd like to do in that sense. As well as you can publish and manage your own APIs through our API Connect tool, and things around security. And the interesting thing is the application services. If you're looking to just run your application, you need access to an application server or messaging technology or a workload scheduler for different batches. This is also that one-stop shop for that as well. As well as you can integrate things as well through our secure gateway to different clouds and databases. But coming back, I think really the key ones that I wanted to highlight were first the DevOps section. So this is where you can essentially continuously deliver your mobile or web application, make iterations. You use your own or whatever you prefer language, as well as if you have a specific development environment that you like to use, like Eclipse or something like that, you can use that and port that into Bluemix. But essentially, this is a way where you can manage and improve your application all through cloud-based means. And so I think really the topic that we're looking at today are the Watson capabilities. And I think the distinction I want to make is that some of the capabilities that Mike had alluded to are accessed through the Watson Developer Cloud, which some of those capabilities are available through Bluemix, but not all of them. So we'll be happy to follow up and kind of make that distinction as you proceed forward. But you've got everything from your natural language classifiers. You can create chatbots through conversation, translate languages, gain insights into personality through analyzing tone and different social footprints of students or whatever you'd like to do. And so these probably look all good and dandy, but really to get into it, I'll focus on the Alchemy API. So what you do is you click on these, and what I wanted to suggest is that it's going to bring you to a page where you can learn about this API, what its features are, how it works, as well as some pricing plans. But again, you will have free access, and you'll have a certain amount of resources that are associated with that. So essentially, what I want to, if you're taking any notes or want to make a mental note, really what you want to do is you want to go to the View Docs. And this will kick you to really all the information you need to know about that API. Demos, how to code it, how to bring it into an existing application, and really how it's used. So that's what I wanted to highlight today on the Bluemix platform, and really wanted to focus on each one of these will have a clickable button that's View Docs. And so that's really where you want to go for that. But so that's the Bluemix interface, and really this is how you access all of these services that you would want to take advantage of here.
Matt, do you mind a question while you're queuing up? Is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
So
there's a question.
In terms of sort of the process of how we would move through from an idea to using these tools, we'd first want to come up with our potential solution or our structure of our system, and then understand what the tool options would be that would best address that. Would you suggest that would be the best path, or do you go into the system and review the various tools and then try to see which of those apply? Or does it go both ways?
Yeah, I mean, it could go both ways. I would say that you definitely want to know what services are out there, especially in the cognitive space, that are available through Bluemix. And again, making that distinction if the stuff that you want to do is available through Bluemix, or if it's something that you would want to engage, the Watson Developer Cloud. But once you have a solution, there's another part in my presentation at the end of how once you have your idea of what you want to build, IBM actually has a way of supplying you what is the necessary tooling, we call it a tool chain, to deliver that experience or that application. And so I would say you definitely want to know what's out there, but I would more so start, once you have a good understanding of that, getting to your solution and then working through this to see what IBM would suggest as the necessary tool chain on Bluemix to deliver that at the lowest cost and optimum experience.
Another comment?
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll have a workshop on fast prototyping using Bluemix so that you can then do it both ways. Yes.
Perfect. Good. Thank you, Enrique. Good. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Enrique. So moving on quickly, I wanted to detail a couple of solutions that are out there today that are in the higher education space that are taking advantage of these cognitive capabilities. One of them is with another school, actually my big rival because I went to Bucknell, but essentially Lehigh has taken advantage of cognitive technology to understand alumni's social footprints on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, to understand what is this person's personality, what drives them, and cross-analyzing that against their historical donations that they've provided. And it's a way of driving more donations from people, and overall the alumni relations organization communicating with alumni more effectively instead of just saying, hey, donate this money. It's more that you can have an approach and say, hey, I noticed that you are an ex-member of the football team. We are, this dollar will go towards a new training facility or something like that. And that is really what motivates that specific person to give. So this is taking advantage of our Personality Insights API and our Social Insights for Twitter, as well as Tone Analyzer. So another one is enhancing campus events and sporting events with mobile. Copenhagen Business School did this at a music festival that's in Copenhagen called the Roskilde Festival, and essentially created a mobile application that geolocated folks that were at it and promoted more sustainability, and also would give them discounts on certain band wear and things like that, so that it would drive retail as well. Also, we've worked with a number of NFL teams, specifically the Miami Dolphins and the Atlanta Falcons, on connecting all the systems that are in these sophisticated stadiums to drive better parking and more retail, and also driving down and providing discounts for merchandise and things like that. So, I know Penn State has a great football program. If it were me, you would have been in the playoff. I know I probably don't need to convince a lot of people of that here, but that made no sense to me. So essentially, another thing I wanted to highlight was utilizing video. We're seeing at IBM that more and more data that's available on the internet and through enterprise and communication is revolving around video. It's more engaging, and essentially there are a couple of universities, both big and small, that are utilizing this to do live feeds as well as manage recorded video. And you can use this for campus speakers, and also in the classroom. There's a very interesting application with the speech to text where you can listen to a professor provide a lecture, and it will naturally just write the transcript of what they said. So that's another advantage of taking video and the audio associated with that. So I queued up some of these, some other ideas here. I've gone through some of them, but utilizing weather to increase the ability for students and faculty to park, and also personality insights to drive and connect students to certain clubs or activities that kind of meet what they're trying to do. And I thought the best way to do that is just show you a couple of demos. So Brad, I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot here again. But essentially the first one is actually an application that a counterpart of mine developed where it takes advantage of Alchemy API and Personality Insights and Tone Analyzer to match a student's learning style to a professor's style of teaching and what would resonate, as well as the times of their classes and things like that. Oh, and lastly, it uses trade-off analytics, which is a cognitive tool that's available on Bluemix as well that will allow you to weigh different things that are of importance to that student. So what essentially happens here is there's a number of students and professors here. For some reason, it looks like the professors and students are opposite for some reason, but let's just go with that. So let's say minor defect. So let's take Liliana, for example. What this did is it went in and my counterpart actually wrote out like 3,000 words of text, but you could also read this from her social profiles and things like that to understand how she communicates and things like that. And essentially, this is really what Alchemy API says. It says you're a bit critical and strict, which is a little harsh, Watson, but adventurous, dispassionate, well, Really the better thing is it comes out with this sun chart, and there really are a lot of different personalities that Watson takes into account here and measures them. And what it essentially does is it does the same thing for the professors. And so here is Watson's recommendation for which professor would resonate and promote the best learning and experience for Liliana, and that is Charlotta. And also the engagement strategy, what times of day work for her, what's the best engagement channel. So Watson takes some of these things, and it also will list Charlotta's at 76, but if you were to go down here to Miriam, there's another, they wouldn't communicate as well. So that's one that I think is really applicable, and I'm happy to show some more on that. But if we were to do another one, this is another application that essentially takes TED Talks and it utilizes speech to text, where it will listen to the actual contents of the TED Talk, turn it into a transcript, and it will use that to recommend which TED Talk is the best for a question. So, I wasn't anticipating having to log in. I don't have a TED, shoot. Okay, well, I wish I could have shown this, but essentially what it does, and it was actually, I was going to ask it a question, is online learning the future of education, is the question I was going to use. But it actually will pull which TED Talks are the most relevant for that question. So it's a way of using curing a question, but taking advantage of the speech to text, where you can learn all the context of what that speaker spoke about in the TED Talk, not just what the title of the TED Talk is, but really what is the context and what was the content that was delivered. So those are a couple of things I wanted to show. Now, the last thing I wanted to share is we are at IBM engaging with customers and engagements such as this, utilizing design thinking. And what design thinking is, from our perspective, is building experiences and understanding the user before you determine even what your problem or goal is. So, what I would suggest is that if you and your teams have an idea of what you think a problem may be, that's great, and run with that. But I would urge you to do some design thinking yourself over the next couple days. Try to put yourselves in the shoes of who are those different types of students, where are they in the life cycle of their education, what are their needs, and heck, I mean, if you even know some students that fit that category, I would bring them in and have them be part of the process. That's what we do when we engage around this, is we'll bring certain customers in and be part of this process as well. So really, these are the types of things that we do. There are certain practices that are really like 30 to 60-minute engagements where you'll do empathy maps and scenarios, ultimately trying to get to this bottom section here, which is an MVP, which is what we're all trying to get to, is what is the minimal viable product that can prove out my hypothesis. So what I wanted to show you as well is there is a repository of information that IBM has put forth, and it's called our IBM Bluemix Garage methodology. So it brings together design thinking and the Bluemix platform to overall help you develop ideas and reach that minimal viable product. So you know, again, if anybody's thinking about doing design thinking, you can certainly contact me, but I would definitely try to write down this URL here. There's a lot of great information here.
Share it too.
Yeah, we'll share it too. So, you know, where you would start is think, what is my problem? And what it's going to do is it's going to give you a bunch of different practices and how you go through them to help you with this definition of what your problem is, or you know, facilitate thinking. So, you know, if you go to something, you know, such as personas, and this would be developing the different types of students and what their needs are, it would essentially would have a pretty prescriptive nature of how you can drive the personas, as well as there's a guide, there's a design thinking guide that I can share with you guys as well. But I would, again, this is what we're doing out in the world, and so taking it a step further, there are different components as you move across here that you know, will help you in your coding and how you deliver these things. Again, this is all going to help you with the Bluemix platform and how to create minimal viable products. And here's the field guide up here, actually, so it is there. But I wanted to share this with you because I think that it could help you with your thinking, and it could help you with delivering in a shorter time period on the Bluemix platform utilizing these methodologies. You know, with that, I'm approaching the end of my spiel here, but you know, I want to say that I can be a resource for you all with questions, and certainly help you along the way. And it's exciting to see that there's so many great use cases that have been presented that I think Penn State and you all can take advantage of. So I hope that you utilize Bluemix and that you look at our Bluemix Garage methodology and you know, do that to help you hit your goals. So thank you. That's what I wanted to share today.
Thanks. Thanks, Matt. Just a couple things. We'll get the link to the garage out into the Canvas course so that everybody can access it. I did want to bring one other point, and we do have one question from remote. When we had students that were participating in the Watson Challenge at the Hack PSU in November, I just wanted to kind of paint the picture of what some of those students came up with. The winning project was called Note My Problem. And so, in other words, taking notes is a problem for students. So they developed a speech to text application, which would take videos of the instructor, turn that into text, and then used Alchemy and other natural language classification tools to take notes. And then there was another project that would have been interesting to connect to that, because what they did was, once they had the notes, they began to build quizzes out of the notes to help them with kind of like a student guide or a student tutorial. So you can see students within a 24-hour period, and we really didn't give them much time. They really wasn't that long. They were able to take two services in each case in Watson and get an application actually running. So it's not, yeah, they may be a little a little more advanced in their technology, but generally they were able to very quickly start to turn it into an improvement for their student experience. I just wanted to share that one. So Larry, go ahead.
So we had I'm going to go back to Matt on this one. We had a question online. One of our guests wanted to know what was the connection between these, the tools and the systems you showed us and social media. And I think this is Andrea. She'll let me know if I'm wrong. I'm thinking what she's wondering about is that do these tools also scrape social media sources for information about persona or about context or anything else, or is that a separate entity? I'm not saying it's a good thing. We're just kind of wondering.
The answer is yes. That the Twitter insights and also the personality insights are the two social services on Bluemix that very simply you put in the URL of where a post is or a certain person's profile, and it will scrape and create that kind of sunburst personality traits diagram and also a text description that's only a couple of paragraphs. So yeah, it really is as simple as that. It resides all in the Bluemix platform.
So if I can, an extension of that, let's say I'm an individual who doesn't want my Twitter feeds, I guess, because that's not really public, it's only public to the group I've selected it to. Is there a way on the back end for the user to define what these tools have access? Maybe that's a path that it's not part of this, but it's just it starts to get my mind thinking about privacy, data, those kinds of things.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, when you post something, certainly it's public, but it's also a lot of these social mediums. You have the ability to follow people or only have people follow you that you want. So I'm actually unsure if there is a way that how that affects the way that the API is able to scrape that. But you know, I understand that could present some limitations. So I will. Yeah. No. I'll come back with an answer.